you're having a laugh.
What?
You just said each member of the team is chosen for their unique abilities. He does exactly what I do.
But better.
What's good, my dudes? Welcome back to another review. You saw the title. Today we're going to be taking a look at the real grade RX-78-2 Gundam 2.0. Consider helping out the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing if you enjoyed. There's quite a lot of new stuff going on here in this kit, so you might want to stick around to the end because I think this kit will dictate the direction of real grade designs in the future and definitely a contender for the best kit of the year and even the best real grade kit ever. I know it's a lot, but this kit is just that good. With all of that out of the way, let's finally talk about it, shall we? Starting off with the build, you'll already see some major differences with the assembly when compared to previous real grades. I think the best way to show this is with the inner frame, that which Bandai has really been cooking something unique for this kit. The kit itself feels a bit quicker to put together while maintaining the details of modern real grades. Bandai is calling this new assembly method for limbs turning joints. So here's what it says. The new turning joint structure allows users to rotate the model around during assembly. It provides high mobility while looking great at the same time. Since the field motor is supposed to be located in the cylindrical part, an axis of revolution has been installed in the area. This mechanism helps faithfully recreate the original unit in a way that does not compromise on design or function. For those of you who didn't understand, that's okay. I didn't either the first time when I read it. But basically what they're saying is that they're using a new design for the joints to maximize articulation, and it doesn't really mess around too much with the original design. Now, what does that look like in practice? Well, during assembly, the parts kind of slide in together and it looks like it creates two swivel joints that kind of lock into place. Now, if you've built a few of the Witcher Mercury HGs, you might be asking, is this a C-clip? And to answer your question, no, it's not. It's a completely new system, and it's quite solid as well. Now, typically for modern RGs, the joints are assembled by layering the inner frame. Based on what's said in the manual, it seems like Bandai is focusing on eking out every last bit of articulation possible for this kit and likely future ones as well. This new engineering only really exists in certain parts of the kit, particularly the elbows and the knees, as the rest of the kit still uses that classic modern real grade design of layering parts on top of each other. This next part is mostly personal speculation, so don't take my word as fact, but I do think that the other reason is to streamline the entire building process while maintaining all the details within the inner frame. Another possible reason, which is again also speculation, is the line between high grades and real grades beginning to be blurred. With more recent high grades getting better and better with each release, like the HGCE Seed Freedom line and the Witcher Mercury line, it begs the question, where exactly do real grade kits fit in Bandai's Gunpla line? To keep this short, I think this new engineering is another way of differentiating the two lines, or in other words, another reason why people should buy real grades over high grades despite both of them being 1/144 scale. Don't you dare comment it. I know some of you are gonna say,
real grades and high grades are very different. It seems like just a skillet to me.
I know this discussion is way more nuanced than this, but I don't want to add another 10 minutes to this video without even discussing aesthetics yet, so I'm gonna leave it here. I am, however, going to talk about this in another project that I'm working on at the moment, so if that video is done, there will be a card at the top right corner of the screen right about now, but if it's not, just stay tuned. I'm willing to bet the next few RGs, possibly with the Akatsuki, if not after, will be using this new engineering. Either way, we can only imagine the possibilities for now. Now, for the aesthetics, the details are pretty much what you come to expect from modern RGs, plus a little something to make this kit really feel like an upgrade. For the inner frame, you get the multiple shades of gray, and while the armor is of course different shades of white mixed into the gray, you also get some really nice detail on the armor itself. What's different about this kit is more that the inner frame poking through the armor, which adds a nice amount of detail even without any panel lighting. Color separation, of course, is fantastic, with the eyes now being fully color separated as well, but foil stickers are still included for the cams. You get two options for the cams on the head, with one of the typical one solid color foil stickers and the other one being one with more detail. It's kind of hard to catch on camera though, but the closest comparison I can think of is the one used in the MG Narrative Gundam CPAX Merca. Check out that review if you haven't. The ones used here aren't plastic stickers, however. The main eyes are also not clear plastic, but the ones on top are clear red. Hey, it's Plumevo from the future. So as I was looking online for some stuff related to this kit, I noticed some people that had issues with the head falcons kind of being tucked away in the head. It seems to be an issue of like multiple people's 2.0 2.0 RGs. So I think there's probably a way to fix it, but I'm probably not gonna have a solution by the time this review is out. So if I do figure out something, I'll keep you guys posted. The vents on the chest also have gaps in them now, so you don't need to panel line them like before, and the backpack here is also different shades of gray. Grandpa has also been hitting the gym a little bit more, so he's a little bit beefier when compared to older iterations of him. More on that when we start comparing the 2.0 to the other kits. Now, despite being a kit of the RX-78-2, it still managed to stand out among the rest of the granddaddy's kits in terms of appearance. I've seen quite a few people say that it's a little bit too busy or it's too big, but I think it manages to do both just right without any proportions feeling really overblown. Let's compare sizes. Here it is next to the high grade Gundam The Origin Gym, real grade RX-78-2, and of course the HGUC Zaku 2 Revive. So overall, it's a little bit taller than the average 1/144 scale kit. Now, the accessories are as straightforward as you can get, but they do have their own little quirks that are new with this kit. First, you got the beam rifle. Now, the design of course is different from previous iterations of a nice amount of surface detail throughout. Like the backpack, it's mostly different shades of gray, so not too excited. The scope on the top can also, of course, move side to side, and the handle can move here too, so that you can hold the rifle with two hands. The second handle here also has a bit of extra side to side wiggle here, so it can be adjusted a bit more when posing. Not many changes to functionality here. Now, the new holding hand does function a little bit differently. You've kind of slide them apart to fit the handle of the beam rifle inside, and then put the armor piece back on. Pretty straightforward, and it's solid. The rifle can also be mounted on the back of the waist by flipping down this cover here. Something to note is that this cover here can also be a little bit difficult to flip out. I also find that not closing it completely really helps with pulling it out the next time. The bazooka's aesthetics are very similar to its older iterations, and it works pretty much the same way as them as well. The handle here can be adjusted so that the bazooka can go over or under the shoulder. It can also collapse in order to be mounted on the waist, although this does mean you can't mount both the beam rifle and the bazooka on the waist at the same time. Of course, you also have the classic Gundam shield. While it's a pretty familiar design like the Gundam itself, it's a bit thicker now with a gray piece on the inside for some extra detail. To mount the shield on the arms, slip the handle onto the holding hand and then clip this brace onto the arm, and the shield has a rail that can adjust the positioning of the shield and can be moved side to side a bit as well. The beam rifle can also be mounted on the shield by flipping out this tab here on the top of the shield. The beam sabers can also be clipped onto the back here as well. Even with all the equipment on, the shield can also be mounted onto the arm. Lastly, the shield can be mounted onto the back by simply sliding onto this groove, and it can move side to side. While the backpack itself isn't the most interesting in terms of its color scheme, it makes it up with a ton of unexpected features. Now, the beam saber holders here can actually be adjusted thanks to these two swivel joints here, which makes adjusting the beam sabers super easy, especially considering that they stay in them really securely. Normally that would be it for this part, but no, there's actually a bit more to this kit. Now, if you take off the backpack itself, you would notice something pretty familiar if you build a lot of high grade kits, and that's the universal backpack system. So if you don't like the new RG backpack and you prefer the, I don't know, the wings for the HEC Freedom, that's totally on the table. But if you do like the backpack, but you would rather have the cannon for the Gundam The Origin HG, not to worry, you can do that by replacing the beam saber holders with the cannon. The Gundam The Origin cannon is the only thing that I could find that actually fits in that hole, but there could be many other things that could fit out there as well. That being said, while I'm not personally a huge fan of kit bashing, if you are, I think you're gonna have a lot of fun in this kit. The beam sabers are as straightforward as you can get. Hold them out the holders, insert the beam effects, slide them into the hands, yada yada yada. You've heard this before. Other than that, it does stay pretty secure in the hands and works perfectly fine. Now, the core fighter is standard for the Gundam, of course, and to get it out, you slide the torso up here upwards very slowly until you can see the core block sticking out from the bottom, and then you bend the top part backwards. Little warning here, one, don't be too rough of it. If you're gonna take the core fighter out like this, you can easily break something if you're not careful, and I don't know if there's a better way to do this, but if you do, please tell me in the comments. Anyway, the transformation for the core block to the core fighter is very simple. Slide this piece back here and flip out the tail fin, flip out the cockpit, and then pull it out. Flip out the side wing. The canopy can also be lifted up, but it's empty on the inside, and you can also put the landing gear on the bottom. These vents on the back move a little bit back and forth for torso 4-star articulation. The connection with the core block is inside the Gundam isn't the most secure, but that's kind of to be expected for something that's meant to be pulled out of the Gundam itself, but it's secure enough so that it won't just fall off randomly when you're trying to pose it, thanks to this tab on the back securing it. Lastly, some more miscellaneous things that I didn't mention yet. It comes with 3 sets of hands and 1 special trigger hand. Of course, you get the usual fist, spread out hands, and the holding hands for the beam sabers, shield, and bazooka, and 1 trigger right hand for the beam rifle. Kinda sucks that there isn't one for the left hand, but I think that's very nitpicky at best. You can also, of course, attach this kit to an action base. Now, this kit doesn't actually come with an adapter, but instead you can flip out this panel on the back here, which is the same one that's used to mount the beam rifle and the bazooka on the back of the waist. You might also notice that there's a hole on the inside, and then you can stick the peg inside here. But what if you want to have a weapon mounted there instead? Well, the backpack here also has another hole for the action base that you can stick it in here, so you can have the weapon mounted on the waist and have it on an action base at the same time. Although this does mean that you can't have the shield mounted on the back and the gun mounted on the waist at the same time. The cockpit can also be opened up here by flipping up the top and bottom halves of this chest piece. Now, unfortunately, this kit doesn't come with a pilot figure or an additional core block like the original RG kit, so the core fighter can't be displayed separately. Now, the articulation here is wild since Bandai wanted to push out as much movement in this kit as humanly possible, and I'm not just talking about the turning joints. Fortunately, this manual is very helpful in showing all of the articulation, which is really helpful for me and you, the viewer. Triple jointed neck with a full rotation that can look up and down. Arms can raise up to a full 180 degrees thanks to the new shoulder joints. They can also swing forward and backward. Shoulder pads can also raise up, and the armor flips out for more arm movement. You can also get a full rotation at the shoulder, swivel at the bicep, double jointed elbow bend, and slight ball joint movement in the wrist and hand on a ball joint. You also get an ab crunch here with 3 joints here in the torso. The forward bend isn't that insane though, but it's enough. The arch back is better, and you can see this cockpit area just come apart as well. Just be a little bit careful when moving it because the top half can just come off if you just move it back too far. Side to side movement in the chest and a rotation in the waist. The front and back skirts are each on a single ball joint, and you get a little pivot in the crotch that allows the legs to adjust up and down if needed. However, this is on one piece, meaning that the legs can't be adjusted individually. The side skirts are attached to a ball joint that can move back or forward to make room for legs, similar to the Infinite Justice Type 2. Both the armor pieces on the front and back can be adjusted up and down. Legs can kick up this far forward and backward and have a really nice split here. A double jointed knee band with a beautiful armor separation here. This armor piece at the bottom of the ankle can also be lifted up. Full rotation at the ankle, really nice swivel here, and a forward and backward movement in the ankle thanks to this moving armor piece. This foot armor piece can also be adjusted up and down, and you get a triple jointed foot bend. Oh, okay. Damn, that was a mouthful. Now, while some of the new joints don't provide the most amount of movement, you get just enough so that you can actually get into the poses that you really want to that not many other kits can do. All in all, I'm super impressed with this articulation. The big elephant in the room, of course, is how does this kit compare to the Real Grade 1.0? To the surprise of absolutely no one, the 2.0 completely blows it out of the water. Better articulation, better inner frame, less frustrating build, and better stability in terms of both posing and parts staying on. The only real arguments in favor of the Real Grade 1.0, besides personal aesthetic preferences, are the additional core block, and frankly, it does kind of suck that you can't get a separate core fighter, the 1/144 scale pilot, while a Knight's Edition, let's be real, it's too small to the point where it's kind of impractical, so I think most people would just be okay without it. Lastly is the price. While it is cheaper, yes, you're probably better getting off spending that money on a much better version of the granddaddy, the HG Gundam The Origin RX-78-2. While this kit doesn't come with a core fighter inner frame and nowhere near as much detail as the real grades, the thing is rock solid. It has better articulation than the 1.0, including a really nice ab crunch here that neither RG has, and really solid customization options, including a extra chest piece, rifle, shoulder cannon, and some parts that can be used to customize this kit the way you want. So while the Real Grade 2.0 is superior to both of these kits, I think the high grade Gundam The Origin can still be a consideration. Or alternatively, you can just put all three together and create your own Frankenstein RX-78-2. If you want to know more about what I think about these kits, check out my Instagram for mini reviews, link is in the description. Regarding the two other Granddaddy HG kits, I don't think they're bad, but I think the high grade Gundam The Origin is just closer to the Real Grade grades, and I don't have them either, so I can't really compare them here. I don't think it's really fair. If you do go down the route of the real grade 1.0, well, just be prepared to spend some time modifying it, or maybe just be satisfied with just the normal standing pose. So this kit is pretty much the easiest recommendation on my channel so far. Just get it, like seriously, even if you don't have like the RX-782, because you're seriously missing out if you don't. Steal, commit, tax fraud, I don't know, just do what you have to do for legal reasons. This is a joke. This kit is now definitely a contender for the best Gunpla of the year, or bare minimum top 3 of the best RG kits of all time. I know that's kind of blasphemy considering the high new Gundam exists, but still. This guy's existence forces you to re-evaluate the entire existence of the RG line, both for the past and the future. Speaking of which, this is likely going to be the standard quality for RGs moving forward, which makes me quite excited since this type of engineering is quite new. I really want to see how Bandai kind of shapes this line in the future, and maybe kits from the other lines in the future. It really feels that the RG line is no longer just mini MGs, and they're going to have their own identity beyond that. I don't want to say this is my favorite RG kit yet, but I know it's like bare minimum top 5. The only thing I'm really worried about for the future of this line is that, maybe this technology is quite new right now, so what if it starts to loosen up over time like the advanced MS joints in the past? So there's one concern that I do have. There's also some minor issues with this kit, like the head Vulcans is not kind of showing up all the way as well, but I think that's very nitpicky to kind of like deduct points on like how good this kit is in the end. Thank you for watching. This video took a little bit longer to edit than I originally expected. There's a lot of new engineering to talk about this kit, and it really caught me off guard when I was putting this kit together. So I want to do my research and be as thorough as possible, so I didn't want to make any dumb mistakes when I posted this video. If you got this far into the video, please leave a comment and tell me what your favorite RG kits are and what kits do you want to see me review in the future. Check out this video from my channel that YouTube thinks that you might like.